shotglassdigital.com.
This is it, our episode 100 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Hi, this is Eric Walker, and I want to wish Richard and Sarah a heartfelt congratulations on your 100th episode of Skywalking Through Neverland. Remember, never land on Alderaan.
Hi, this is Bruce and Michael from Cloud City Casino, and we want to wish you a happy 100. You look great for 100.
No, Bruce, it's 100 episodes. They're not 100 years old.
Yeah, I'm Dave Filoni, and you're Skywalking Through Neverland. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
We did it!
A billion years in the making.
Welcome to Neverland.
What do you know?
You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll kiss $3 goodbye.
Hey, Skywalkers! We did it!
We did it!
Episode 100 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
Before we begin, we just want to dedicate this show to Daniel Fleetwood, who just passed away on Tuesday, November 10th, after his battle with cancer. He was the man whose last wish was to see The Force Awakens before he became one with the Force. So this show is dedicated to you, Daniel, and I'm so happy that Disney and Lucasfilm and J.J. Abrams granted him his wish after the world and Mark Hamill and John Boyega all rallied behind the social media movement to get him to see the film. Farewell, Daniel, and may the Force be with you. Now, before we begin our really big show, everybody please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah, who is 100 episodes years old.
That's me. I am fresh off of Photoshop creating the episode 100 logo for our show, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, you have created a whole bunch of stuff this week that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yep. Well, it has taken us a little over 2 years, but we did it. We finally did it. With this episode, we are crossing the 100th episode mark. Of course, we didn't do it alone, and we want to thank all of you Skywalkers for helping us out by listening every week, covering events, sending us topic ideas, tweeting about it on social media, and just becoming our new friends.
And we wanted all of you to join in on our big celebration, so we put the word out to send us in your favorite and most memorable fan moments, and you did it in droves.
Yeah.
Now, we want to put a special thank you out there to Donald Wicks for grabbing us a bunch of fan moments when he was at Steve Sansweet's Galloween a few weeks ago, and getting a fan moment from Dave Filoni himself.
That's right. And we also want to thank Teresa Delgado, my fangirl friend, for getting us Steve Bloom's fan moment when she was at Dallas Comic-Con.
And we got a bunch of heavy hitters in the Star Wars universe, but you'll have to listen in and find out who they are. Now, our theme is 100 guests share 100 moments. However, we have a few more than 100.
Wow.
But 100 guests share 100 moments just has a better flow.
A better ring to it, I'd say.
Oh, exactly. And we may be the first podcast to ever have 100 guests on one show.
That's right. Boo! Yoo-hoo!
Woo! You know what? I even Googled that.
You did?
Yeah.
What did you find?
I found nothing.
I'm excited about
So
this.
now when you Google that, our name will come on up.
Yes.
100 guests on one episode.
Right.
I'm just so proud of that.
I know it's a lot. You've been editing. This is a lot of work.
Well, we've been doing this since way before Halloween.
Oh yeah. This has been over a month preparation for this.
Yeah, I think we were prepping this the same time we were prepping our Spooktacular Trick or Treat special.
Yes.
Which goes back to, before you were born.
Now, also on this episode, we can't leave our Skywalkers hanging, so we have our Skywalker of the Week by Rob Dellinger. Now, he composes our jingles each week, and I have finally created a shirt. Okay, so you know how they make I Am the Rebel Spy t-shirt at Disneyland?
Disney World, probably.
So that when you have to...
You know what? I wouldn't know that. Sorry.
I know, I'm sorry. Well, which you pretty much...
I am not the Rebel Spy.
I know, yes. But you pretty much have to buy it once you become the Rebel Spy, right?
I don't know.
Well, I've never bought it, actually. I got the pin, though. But anyway, I have created a Skywalker of the Week t-shirt design.
And it is awesome.
It harkens back to the Empire Strikes Back logo. We thought that whole vintage feel would be fun. And it's available on our TeePublic t-shirt site. So if you head on over to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and click on the Support Us tab, you can get to that TeePublic site, our TeePublic page with all the t-shirt designs, including a new BB-8 holiday design.
So lots of gift giving to be had.
And right now through the weekend, all t-shirts on our TeePublic site are $14. And other designs are, also knocked off site-wide. So it's a good time to grab a bunch of different designs if you want.
Bang up week here designing t-shirts and logos.
Yeah, it was fun. Yay.
After we're done recording, you can take the hour off.
Oh, thanks. And I'll play Disney Infinity.
So here they are in no particular order, our 100 guests sharing 100 moments.
Hi, this is Steven Stanton from Star Wars Rebels, and I have 2 fan moments I'd like to talk about, and both of them are Star Wars related. The first was being chosen to portray Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars The Clone Wars. I can still remember getting the call that they wanted me for the part, and I just couldn't believe they were bringing this character back. This was a role that was originated by the great Peter Cushing, an actor that I was a huge fan of growing up. I'd seen him in all kinds of monster movies, and it was an absolute delight to be able to bring the character of Tarkin back, not only for the original fans, but for a whole new generation. And my second fan moment was meeting Alan Ladd Jr., Laddie, the man who saved Star Wars. Alan Ladd Jr. is the last of the big movie moguls, the former head of 20th Century Fox, who gave George Lucas the green light to make Star Wars. And it was great being able to sit down with him and talk about some of the other classics that he helped get to the screen, like Blade Runner, Young Frankenstein, Alien, The Right Stuff. I mean, I was grinning ear to ear coming out of that meeting. Complete fanboy.
Hey, Richard and Sarah, it's Bryn McKinnon from A Window to the Magic podcast. I'm here in Los Angeles, and my favorite fan moment of my life happened this year when I got to meet Jeff Long for the first time at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. Jeff is my fellow co-founder of Team Hoojib, and getting to meet him for the first time was like meeting a brother I yet hadn't met in person. And it was so magical and wonderful, and I'm so grateful for all the funny, crazy conversations he and I have had over Twitter and with everybody on Team Hoojib. You all are awesome. And I just want to thank you guys for that I found your podcast, because finding your podcast and embracing my fandom is really what allowed me to have such a great experience and meet Jeff and meet everyone from Team Hoojib. So that's it. I'm going to try not to cry now, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Hi, my name is Eliza Peralta, and I am the voice of Chopper's Secret Keeper. My favorite fan moment is when I first tried to go on Big Thunder Mountain. And I hugged my daddy because I was next to him. And then my dad took a picture of me. At first I was a little bit scared, then I got used to it, so I really like it now. Whenever I'm there, I want to go there. And I'm never telling you about Chopper.
Hey, this is Patty, the Everyday Fangirl, and I wanted to share with you my favorite fan memory. My favorite fan memory was watching Star Wars with my family back in 1977. My mother had won tickets to the local premiere. I got to see the movie 1 week before most other people around the country. But, of course, the movie was fantastic. But my favorite memory of that time was of my dad walking out of the theater, turning and telling us that this movie was going to be legendary. Mark my words, it will become a classic. And my dad was correct. So, not only my favorite fan memory, it's also my favorite memory of my dad. I got a 2-for-1 there.
What's up, everyone? I am Strider, a.k.a. the Hip Hop Trooper, and my most memorable fan moment is 3 years ago. I was sitting at work, no money, bored, depressed. Hip Hop Trooper was at home charging. I got a phone call from Run DMC's manager that said, Run and Dara want to meet you, and they want you on stage because they're big fans. Next thing you know, a limo pulled up. I jumped in. I'm backstage with Run DMC. We go on stage in front of 65,000 people. And I'm like, hold on. I created this costume because of Star Wars and Run DMC. And now I'm living the Star Wars dream, and I'm with Run DMC. Doesn't get no better than that.
Hey guys, this is Joey Pittman. There have been many big moments in fandom of my life, especially within the last couple of months with Celebration and D23. First time seeing Star Wars, going to Disneyland, Indiana Jones, Jungle Book. But I'd have to say the number one moment for me, and this is tough because I actually met Michael Jordan, and that's amazing. But the number one is when I was in London, the 3 months before Phantom Menace was released in theaters. I was having lunch at Hard Rock Cafe, and in walks George Lucas all by himself, and I just froze. I was just done. And he goes to walk by. I still couldn't really move. My girlfriend's like, take his picture. And last second, I just turned, snapped a picture, got a side profile, and that was about it. I was too scared to talk to him. Just being 30 feet away, that close to when Phantom Menace was released. I mean, that was still just amazing. Yeah, that's mine. And happy 100th episode. Here's to the next 100.
Hey, this is Rachel Hayes from Murrieta, California, and my fan moment was 2 years ago when I was picked to be a part of the virtual choir for the World of Color Winter Dreams in California Adventure. When I realized I would be a part of Disneyland, conceivably for forever, it touched my heart. It's something I could share with my kids someday and hopefully their kids. That was a fabulous moment for me, and it's something I can experience every year at Disneyland to make Christmas time and Disneyland that much more special.
Hi, this is Real Racy Stacy, and my favorite fan moment was back at Star Wars Celebration. And I had a moment where I was asking a question in a writer's panel, and Jimmy Mack figured he knew me, so he said, hey, there's Racy Stacy's in the house, and so I was kind of outed to everybody in the panel, so that was a fangirl flail right there. And then after the panel was started, writer Wyndham said, hey, I'm a big fan of yours too. And I was like, oh my God, now I'm really embarrassed. And then I got to ask a question, and then the panel went, and then after the panel was all over, everyone's saying their goodbyes, and I was like, okay, I'm saying bye, and the panel was saying bye, and writer says, except for Stacy, stay behind. And I was like, no, I've been outed one more time. So that was my favorite fan moment. It was my 15 minutes of fame, I guess you could say.
Hello, this is Scott Murray with the Assembly of Geeks, and I'm very excited to share one of my best fan moments. It immediately stands out when I look at all the fandoms that I have, especially ones I grew up with. I was a big fan of the 1980s TV series V, the original one. They remade it later, but the original. And I was so much of a fan of that when I was a kid that I pretended to be Mike Donovan in elementary school. My friend Mike Shannon and I ran around the elementary school pretending we were the Resistance. He played Martin and I played Mike Donovan. And we pretended the elementary school was the mothership, and we were sneaking around and doing all kinds of crazy things. And as I got to go to more and more conventions in recent years, I was pretty excited to meet some people from my fandoms, but it was pretty hard to top the level of excitement when I found out that Mark Singer was coming to a local convention. And it was a thrill to meet him, get an autograph, and get a picture with him. But because I didn't want to hold up anybody in line, I didn't share with him my story that, I used to pretend to be Mike Donovan when I was a kid. And I regretted that for a long time. And I didn't know if he would ever come back. And then I launched my first podcast and got a chance to interview Mark. And I did that by sending out an email that actually reached him somehow. And then he called me, which, needless to say, gave me a geek out moment. And I called him back that evening. And in the process of setting up the interview, I got to share that story. And it was a really awesome moment to hear him say, how flattered he was by that, how much it meant to him to hear that, and that he thought that I definitely brought that character justice. And it was something that carried into the interview and gave me a lot of great moments after that. So that is a fan moment that started years ago and is still very, very powerful to me today.
Hey everyone, Paul Berry here from the Window to the Magic podcast, and I've been invited to come on and give you my great fan moment. Well, my great fan moment takes me all the way back to 1977 in San Jose, California, when I, as a small boy, 11 years old, was treated to a trip to the movie theater to see this brand new space feature that had just come out, Star Wars. I knew nothing about it, and I went in and my mind was blown away. What I remember most about it, though, was the fact that there were huge lines out in front of the theater. And I'm talking hours ahead of the shows, people were waiting. And that ended up being the most spectacular part of it, was to actually stand in line and interact with all the other fans while you were waiting to get in. X amount of years later, when they re-released the shows, I got to do the same thing with my son Calvin. Take him, and he was like, "Why do we have to stand in these huge lines?" And I said, "It's part of the magic." So I got to pass on a little bit of the Star Wars wait in line to see a movie magic. There you go. I hope you enjoyed it.
This is Gary Oransky, host of the first podcast, Richard and Sarah Were Ever on Average Intelligence. My fan memory is fairly recent, October 21st, 2015. The date that Marty McFly traveled to in the past, now 3 weeks ago. I saw Back to the Future 2 in Times Square in all of my Marty McFly gear, and I spent the night after seeing the film walking around Times Square, high-fiving anybody else dressed up as Marty, letting them pose for pictures with my Pepsi Perfect bottle I got at New York Comic Con, and it was a really fun night. It's the whole point of fandom. You put your love of something out there into the world. Those people who also love it will respond and communities grow. And it's how I met Richard and Sarah in the first place. And it's beautiful. And if you want to see more of my nerdy endeavors, including being in a Weird Al video, the 2-minute and 2-second mark, check out my website, itscaryo.com. Congratulations on your success, guys.
Hi, this is Star Wars artist Tom Hodges. I'd have to say my favorite fan moment is recently. I was at D23 at the movie panel when Bob Iger announced the Star Wars theme park area of Disneyland. And as someone who has created his own Star Wars theme park for Celebration, I have to tell you that was probably my biggest moment because it hit pretty close to home. It was something that I knew was coming at some point, but to see it announced right in front of me was pretty powerful. It was a big moment for me, because it's something I've been dreaming about since I was a kid. So to now know that it's coming was pretty big for me.
Hi guys, Jack here. I'm 15 and this is my Disney memory. So back about 3 years ago, I started my own podcast called The Mickey D Cast, which is now long gone. Don't have as much time for that anymore. But what happened is, I had about 2 listens and maybe 25 followers on Twitter. And little did I know, but a little podcast called Skywalking Through Neverland decided to follow me on Twitter. And it just, when I saw the notification and I listened to the show, I was like, these guys are so cool. And they followed me. Like, it was such a cool feeling to have you guys, or Skywalking Through Neverland, I guess, follow me on my own podcast. And it kind of just gave me a sense of community and this culture that has been created through Twitter and social media and the availability and the way that all of us Disney fans can come together and share our love for Disney. I'm Jack, and that's my story.
So I'm Victor Franco. I'm with the R2 Builders Club, and I live in Irvine, California. And my favorite fan moment, besides maybe being the ring bearer, my R2 was the ring bearer in Rich and Sarah's wedding. One time I got to be backstage at the Shrine Auditorium for the Jules Verne Adventures Awards, and George Lucas was there, Harrison Ford was there, James Cameron was there, and I was about 1 to 2 feet away from them the whole time. It was really, really awesome. So that's probably my favorite fan memory.
I'm Teresa Delgado from Fangirls Going Rogue, Star Wars Bookworms, and Disney Vault Talk. And my favorite Disney moment is the very first time I ever met Ariel at the parks. I was speechless. I cried. And it was one of the most magical things. She was so forgiving for the fact that there was this about 27-year-old crying because I was meeting her in her grotto with her fins and all that stuff, and she just welcomed me with open arms, and it's one of my favorite pictures that I have ever, even though I looked terrible. But meeting her was the best ever. And then my favorite Star Wars moment is actually getting to work the Her Universe booth during Star Wars weekends and getting to talk to so many different people. I can't think of something that was more fun than that. So they both took place in Disney parks, but those were my favorite moments, and I hope there's going to be lots and lots more to come with Star Wars Land opening and all of that stuff. So may the Force be with you.
This is Trisha Barr from Fangirls Going Rogue and Hyperspace Theories. My favorite Star Wars memory is actually an email I got, and it was from Frank Parisi, who was then at Delray Star Wars. And he said, how would you like to do an interview with Aaron Alston? Well, the interesting thing was when that email came through, I was riding Ganner the Jedi horse through the showgrounds, picked up my phone and looked at this email and literally almost fell off my horse. So I had to sit in the sea of people who had no idea why doing an interview with Star Wars author Aaron Alston would be the biggest, coolest thing that would ever happen to me in Star Wars, because that helped launch me into a lot of other things. That was my first Star Wars Insider article. So anyway, that's my favorite moment. It's a little bit different probably than what a lot of other people are going to share from movies. And I have so many of those and from the television shows and conventions, but that's my little moment.
Hi, this is Amy Marie from Assembly of Geeks, and one of my absolute favorite fan moments that I have ever had was the very first time that I interviewed Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen on Arrow. It was actually, that particular press room was WonderCon 2013, and it was my very first solo press room. So not only was I going and about to interview the stars of my favorite TV show at the time, but I was doing it totally alone. I was just thrown into it. I wasn't supposed to be there. It was last minute. So I'm already going crazy as it is. And then I get in there and it just went so well. All of the actors were incredible. The press people were incredible. And then Stephen Amell comes in all his Stephen Amell-ness and shows up, and the interview that we did was phenomenal. He gave great answers. He was really engaging, and my goal in every interview is to get the response, wow, that's a good question, or something to that like. And I asked him a question. He goes, wow, that's a really good question. And there's a very distinct possibility that I almost fainted. But that to me, as a huge fan of Arrow, as well as just wanting to give and, create really good experiences in interviews for both the actors and the fans, that was a huge moment for me. I left the press room shaking, fangirl shaking. I will not. It was awesome.
Hi, this is Calvin Barry from Just This Side of Crazy. Window to the Magic. Darn it, I get those mixed up. And my favorite fan moments has got to be at the National Fantasy Fan Club Expo, convention, whatever it was. That's not important, but I was out getting some more food, and there was a nice gentleman standing there, and I was talking to him about our selection of food. We had a nice laugh there, and I said, okay, well, I'll see you later. And I go and sit down, nothing out of the ordinary. We move on to the next room, and they surprise us with the Muppets are going to be there. I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. And all of a sudden, Pepe, the King Prawn, goes running into the room, and it's my favorite character, and I realize the person puppeteering him is the person I was talking to in the last room. I instantly put my palm to my face and realized how silly I must have sounded talking about the Muppets and the food and everything. But it was just a great experience. I got to really interact with him as a human instead of his character, and then talk to him afterwards. But that's my favorite fan moment.
Waka waka! This is Merciless from Saber Guild, also known as Rob Yanagihara. Favorite moment of Star Wars was just being there the first day. The very first day it aired in the theaters. I was 6 years old, went to go see a new movie that we had no idea what it was, and it just turned out to be amazing. It changed my life. And now I do lightsaber shows for charity events.
My name is Georgia, and I was from Atlanta, but I literally moved across the country, packed up my car to come work for Disney. So now I'm from Anaheim. My favorite fan moment was I've always wanted to sing for Disney since I was a little girl. Jodie Benson comes into our restaurant all the time. I'm like, please, Jodie Benson, please introduce me to Alan Menken, please. She never does. And so actually I came here for vacation this summer, and Alan, the ragtime pianist, let me get up and sing on Main Street and actually invited me back to sing again and again and again all week. So I pretty much fan geeked out getting to fulfill my lifetime dream singing at Disneyland.
This is Denise with my most memorable fandom moment. But I couldn't decide. Was it that time when David Copperfield brushed against my arm as he came out to sign autographs after his show? Or just the other night when Kermit the Frog whispered my name, Denise, even though he was actually talking about his new Muppet girlfriend, who also happens to be a redhead? Or when I saw Lacey Schwimmer of Dancing with the Stars, and I called out to her, Lacey, you're my favorite. She spun around and smiled at me and said, you're my favorite. Or when I got to play with Angelina Jolie and her little son Maddox. He was only 2 at the time. We spent hours at her house just playing around, having a great time, and watching puppets. Probably it was that time that I got to go to Carrie Fisher's house. Just me as one of Santa's elves, entertaining her daughter and her little daughter's friends, teaching the kids to make balloon animals and performing magic. Carrie checked in on us a couple of times, but because she wasn't feeling well, she declined to join us even when we all asked her. So, I got to go to Princess Leia's home and see her in her comfy clothes.
Hey, this is Jeff from the Assembly of Geeks and Coffee with Kenobi and Marvin Dog Media, and my number one fandom moment actually happened fairly recently. It happened back in April at Star Wars Celebration, and 2 of the greatest loves of my life are Star Wars and humor. And a big part of the humor being Weird Al Yankovic has been a hero of mine my entire life. And going to Star Wars Celebration, I managed to meld 2 of my passions together. They were interviewing Weird Al at the Cantina setup there on the show floor, and I managed to be on camera with my hero for about 3 minutes, dressed as a Star Wars character. You talk about 2 great tastes that taste great together. That is an experience I will never forget, and one that I still tell people about to this day, even if they've already heard the story 3 or 4 times. You're welcome.
Hi, this is Rick Peralta from Line Up for Star Wars.
And I'm Lisa Monet Peralta, his other half.
So we really wanted to talk about one of our favorite memories from Disneyland, actually. Despite our hard Star Wars connections here, for us, it kind of began with Disneyland. Back in 2005, I guess it was now.
Yeah, probably.
A year after we met, I was kind of sneaky when she went off to go to Wales, Wales and London for a school trip. And I got her engagement ring at the old the old Jewel of Orleans store in Norland Square. And I was fortunate enough at the time to know somebody who was a rather significant executive with Disney. And she had said, anytime I wanted anything, just let her know. So I told her that I had got the ring there and I was going to propose when she returned. She said to me, well, why don't we send, I'll get a camera. It'd be really cool to catch that. And when she said camera, I thought, okay, still photography. That's really cool. That's a nice thing. I'll have some photos of the moment. Next thing I knew, I was having production meetings and pre-production meetings and meeting directors and DPs, and they were shooting a commercial around us. We had to try to hide this from my wife. So
I blame jet lag.
Yeah, so she had no idea, and we sold it to her that we were doing a commercial for annual pass holders. And so they came to our house and interviewed us and talked about what we were doing. And without even knowing she was doing it, she set up the whole thing about how we always go to the Jewel of Orleans, and on every trip we go to the park. And so when we went to the park, we're going to come back there, and, well, lo and behold, we're going with the camera crew, and we walk into that store.
He takes the ring from me and goes down on his knee and asks me to marry him. And I break down in tears. Crying hysterically.
Yeah, so it was quite the experience. Not only did we get something that so few people get, obviously, but then on top of that, to have that opportunity throughout the whole day. They filmed us the entire day.
I was a VIP at Disneyland. It was the most awesome experience ever. I had a bubble around me. I didn't even know how crowded it was.
Yeah, this was the peak crowds of the 50th anniversary. It was like we were walking through that park in the middle of summer by ourselves. Everywhere we went, they were shutting down rides so that we could ride them by ourselves.
They shut the castle down, and we skipped through the castle with Mickey and Minnie.
Everyone was, there was this massive crowd standing there watching us skip through. Yeah, no, like stage fright or anything. You got to keep I had enough jitters as it was just dropping on my knee, let alone having to have thousands of people watch me do it. But it was quite the experience. And, we were fortunate enough to get to keep that commercial and play that on a loop during our wedding. And I mean, how do you top that as a Disney fan memory?
Wow. All right.
Hey, Skywalking through Neverland. It's Michael Knipp from the Deucecast Movie Show. Happy 100th epiversary. So excited for you guys. And I wanted to participate in the fan moments discussion that you are having and share probably my biggest fan moment of all time. I was at Star Wars Celebration 4 at the Los Angeles Convention Center. And being there in and of itself was a huge moment. But on the show floor, just doing some casual shopping, I bumped into none other than J.J. Abrams, there with his family as well, there as a fan, not there for any other reason at that time other than he loves Star Wars, and got to take some pictures with him, have a short conversation with him about, Mission Impossible 3 and how he had been announced to direct Star Trek. And it's just so exciting how big of a Star Wars moment that has ended up being, with him being, of course, the director of The Force Awakens. So anyways, had to share that with you guys. Happy 100th epiversary again, and I cannot wait for 100 more.
Hello, this is Justin Smith from laughingplace.com, and my favorite fan moment took place on April 20th to the 21st when I got to participate in the ultimate Marvel marathon at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, where for 29 straight hours I got to watch every film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that time, starting with the first Iron Man from 2008, leading up to the Avengers, Age of Ultron, a little over a week before it was officially released in the US. It was a very fun challenge. I wasn't sure if I would accomplish it, but I felt great when I did. I got to see celebrities such as Jon Favreau, Stan Lee, Clark Gregg, got free meals, got free donuts. It got me cool free stuff such as an exclusive poster, and it helped me build a really cool relationship with the website laughingplace.com, where I've got to do several cool events since then.
So let's take a break from all of our Skywalkers and tell you our favorite and most memorable fan moments.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Do you want to start us off?
Sure. Yes, I do. Okay. So thinking back to, I'm going to go with a Star Wars one.
Okay. Let's just say right now that we're not going to do the when we first met, Can I Dance with a Jedi? Those are the given.
Okay.
When we met through Star
Right.
Wars and Disney
And also seeing the trailer
yeah,
together.
so we'll take those off the table.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to reach back into history here. And I am going to go with the summer I first saw Star Wars, which was, I was 10. It was about 1991, and it was the dark time. So I saw it on a VHS tape, and it was the beginning of summer. I watched them in the wrong order, the original trilogy, and then I had to immediately watch them in the right order. And then that whole summer, I would just rewatch these movies. I was enthralled. And so I kind of came to Star Wars very solitary. Do you know what I mean? So unlike you.
So you didn't have a big group
of
friends and fans all around you.
No. It was very, very alone.
It was the dark times.
A lone wolf thing. Yes. But for me, actually getting into it that way worked for me because back then I always went against the crowd. So, if it wasn't popular, I liked it. So right now, if I don't think I would have gotten into Star Wars as much as I would because it's too popular.
That's why I wasn't into Star Wars summer of '77 because everyone else did. Well, you know what? This is your moment. This is your moment.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So my point being, it was like a very solitary thing, Star Wars. And so in the summer, of course, when you're little, my parents always put me in summer camps. So I went to this summer camp. I think it was like art camp or science camp. I don't know. Each of them were a week. And I went to one of these camps. And I remember at lunchtime, like I didn't know a lot of the kids there, but at lunchtime I was like drawing a Star Wars character on my napkin or something. And this other girl came up and was like, "Oh, is that Star Wars?" And she started talking to Star Wars to me. And I got so excited that like someone else knew about this big world. Like I actually started shaking and I couldn't talk and I sounded like a big spaz because I was like so excited that someone other than me was as into it as I was. And it was just like this brand new mind-blowing discovery for me that like other people liked Star Wars, which I thought was my own thing. So
It wasn't just someone else liking Star Wars. It was you making a new friend.
Yeah, that too.
With a big interest.
Yeah. And it was super exciting. So then we got to hang out and watch the movies together. And then I subsequently got all my other close friends into Star Wars. And so we would walk to each other's houses in the summer and rewatch the movies over and over again.
There's something special about introducing friends into something new
Yeah.
that they may have heard of or just kind of knew the bare bones.
Uh-huh.
And then letting them experience it. Because once they see it, it's all or nothing from there. Because how can you not love Star Wars after seeing it?
Yeah. I mean, this blossomed even up to the point at my 16th birthday. My friends all made a birthday cake with Star Wars figures on it and stuff, and we had a complete Star Wars birthday party because that was '97 when
special
editions were coming out in theaters around my birthday time. Thank you very much. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, your birthday was just a couple of days before Return of the Jedi special edition came out.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh.
But then I couldn't keep the Star Wars figures because
What?
they were my friend's little brother's figures.
So?
I know, I was sad.
It's your birthday.
I know. But it was really funny because
You create the laws on your birthday.
all my girlfriends had little brothers who were 4 years younger than them. Like all of them. It was really weird. They all had Star Wars figures.
There's no jury in the world that would have convicted you.
Yeah, I know.
It's your birthday. You get to keep the Star Wars figures. That's just the way it goes.
It's true.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's my moment from the past.
Nice. Now, my most memorable fan moment comes in the summer, I would say Memorial Day of 1987 at Celebration Zero, which was the very first Star Wars convention, all exclusive Star Wars convention before they were called Celebration. That's just the name I gave it, Celebration Zero. When, for the first time ever, George Lucas was coming to a convention to speak to his fans.
Ooh.
So this was big time stuff here. And he was going to do a Q&A. And as nervous as I was, I knew I would never, ever forgive myself if I did not raise my hand and ask a question. Now, at this stage, I was on the cusp of leaving my shy self behind. And
right.
Once upon a time, I was the shy kid in the room where you wouldn't even know I was there.
The shy, quiet kid?
Yeah, and then I started taking the TV production classes and getting in front of the camera. My true self came out, so I had a little bit more confidence. And everyone was raising their hand, and I saw the clock ticking. I knew he wasn't going to be here for much longer, and so I raised my hand just hoping they were going to point at me to ask my question. And luckily, I've got this moment on video.
Yay!
And here is the audio of me, a 18-year-old Rich Woloski, asking George Lucas a question at the Celebration Zero convention for the Star Wars 10th anniversary convention.
Yes. Does or will Lucasfilm ever have internships for young filmmakers?
Will Lucasfilm ever have internships for young filmmakers?
A very small company, and from time to time we have hired people, not as young filmmakers, but in various work capacities, and those people have gone on to rise through the company, and so we do that, but it's on a very limited scale because it's not a very big company.
So taking the TV production classes and going into film school, I was really big into working in the film business.
Right.
So I thought, if I'm going to get an internship at Lucasfilm, who better to ask than George Lucas? So there I was thinking, okay, this is my foot in the door. I'm going to ask him about an internship. He'll say, yeah, come over here and sign up, and I'll take you with me to Skywalker Ranch.
Of course.
It didn't turn out that way.
Aww.
As you heard in the audio, he just said that Lucasfilm doesn't accept internships for young filmmakers, but they do accept internships, which gave me a ray of hope until I heard that they really favor the USC students over anything else.
I'm sorry.
But still.
Yeah.
And that was even my yearbook quote. I talked to George Lucas.
Wow, so you've shaken his hand.
I've shaken his hand.
You've talked to him.
I've talked to him one-on-one.
What else? One-on-one. What else? You've seen him.
And I have his DNA.
What? Oh, at the
same convention.
Yes.
Afterwards, when there was a panel of George and Gene Roddenberry and Charlie Lippincott, a lot of people that had to do with the Star Wars success were up on stage, and they all had cups of water. After the panel was over, they were ushering everyone out of the room. I'm not happy just leaving somewhere. I've got to take something with me.
Right.
So I went up on stage, got George's water glass.
There you go.
I got his water glass and Peter Mayhew's water glass because he was there too.
Whoa.
And I walked away.
Nice.
So that's my most prized piece of memorabilia. I've got George Lucas's DNA.
Do you know which is which?
Nope. Yeah, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, Peter Mayhew's glass was more of a champagne flute.
Okay.
I don't know why they would give him water and a champagne flute, but they did. So they put the glasses down, and I don't know why no one else thought of this, but they didn't, and I did. And my friend Henry Lapierre and I went to the stage and made off with some glasses.
Nice.
So on a side note, whenever we would go somewhere to see a celebrity or someone we were really interested in, we'd always take their water glass.
Right.
So somewhere back in my garage, I've got Mickey Dolenz' water glass. Now, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the water is no longer in these glasses.
No. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, so I would say when thinking about my life in fandom, that would be the paramount thought. The end. All right, let's get back into more Skywalkers, and we're going to hear from Dave Filoni next. And once again, we want to give a big shout out to Donald Wicks for getting us this at Steve Sansweet's Halloween. Now, what is Dave Filoni's most memorable fan moment?
I don't know. I guess my most significant moment was meeting George, interviewing for the job when I got it to make Clone Wars. That was pretty significant for me, and my life's never been the same. 2005. Yeah, 2005, yeah. Changed my life, yeah. For the better, too.
Hi, my name's Wendy Cooper. I live in Fullerton, California. And my biggest fan moment happened December 3rd, 2012. I heard that Candlelight was going to be 20 nights long. And when I heard my very favorite person ever that I've been in love with since I was a child, Kurt Russell, was going to be one of the narrators of the Christmas story, I had to do this. So it was an AP sign-up thing. It was a lottery, and I got chosen. So on December 3rd, I was in the front row and got to see Kurt Russell from like 20 feet away for the first time in my entire life. Thought I was going to hyperventilate, but oh my gosh, it was fantastic. That will be a memory that I'll have the rest of my life. So that's my fan moment.
Hi, this is Bruce and Michael from Cloud City Casino, and we want to wish you a happy 100. You look great for 100.
No, Bruce, it's 100 episodes. They're not 100 years old.
Oh, yeah, I got a little confused there. Well, anyway, Michael, what's your favorite fan moment?
Okay, that's pretty easy. My favorite fan moment has got to be when I first saw Return of the Jedi and Luke is about to plunge into the belly of the Sarlacc pit, but instead that John Williams music ramps up and R2 shoots him his lightsaber hilt. He catches it and ignites the green lightsaber for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's an awesome scene. I would say my favorite moment recently was at Star Wars Celebration, the opening ceremonies, the Force Awakens trailer, the cast, director, Kathleen, everybody, the fans. I haven't been that emotional since my last daughter was born 11 years ago. I mean, it was great. So we want to wish you guys a happy 100 and keep skywalking through Neverland.
And who jibs?
Hey, this is Whit Honey from Geek Dad. And I think that the biggest moment I've had of pure geeking out fandom was I was at a press event at Disneyland, and I was able to take my kids, and who do we see walk through the park but John Lasseter? Normally, I'm not the guy that's going to go up and bother someone like that at an event, but he was definitely there to work. He was there to meet people and talk, and so we did. I walked up with my boys, and John Lasseter, if you haven't had the chance to meet him, he is everything that you think he is going to be. And he sat there with my kids and talked about all the new things that were happening at California Adventure and at Disneyland like he was another 10-year-old. And it was amazing and contagious. And they stood there for 15, 20 minutes with him just, you got to do this. Oh, and then when you guys do that, then you got to do this. Hey, is that your dad? Bring him over. Have him take a picture. You know, and I was like, holy cow, this is the busiest man in the park. And he's taking 20 minutes out of his time to spend with my kids. And it was just amazing. Thank you, John Lasseter.
To infinity and beyond.
Hi, this is Mark Newbold from Radio 1138 in Jedi News. I would say my favourite Star Wars memory, certainly from fandom, would be the original Celebration Europe back in 2007. I think for UK fans it was a real breakout moment because we'd never had an official convention happen over there.
We're going to probably
it
walk
meant
back all the way through.
an awful lot. And just to get all the fans together, get all the guys together. A lot of people knew each other but hadn't met. And to have guests come from the States and just generally have people all come together, it was a really important time. So for me, yeah, I'd say 2007 Celebration Europe won.
Alex Welch with GeekNation.com. Probably the biggest fandom moment for me was when I was 5 years old in Apple Valley, Minnesota. And I lined up at 8 o'clock at night and waited in line 4 hours to see Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets, I believe. And then I still went to kindergarten the next morning.
Hey, Richard and Sarah, congrats on 100 episodes. This is Jeff Roney from the Once Upon a Time Fan Podcast, and I want to give you my thoughts about my favorite fan moment. And I think my favorite fan moment was when Colleen and I went to RegalCon, and I walked up to meet Lana Parrilla, and as I walked up and I said, "Hi, Lana," and I didn't say anything else, and she said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name's Jeff Roney." And her eyes kind of got a little wide, and she goes, "Wait a minute, you've been in contact with my PR people. Why haven't we had an interview?" And she knew what we did. That, to me, is the greatest fan moment, when the people that you admire, the people that you talk about week to week, know you. And it was just so gratifying and wonderful. And a number of cast members knew us as well from our podcast. But meeting Lana, that was just fantastic. So have a great show, guys, and keep podcasting. See ya. Bye.
Hi, this is Dan Z from Coffee with Kenobi and StarWars.com, and I am congratulating Skywalking Through Neverland on 100 episodes. That is incredible. What a great show you two have, and the warmth and the joy and the passion you bring to everything that you do, whether it's online with Twitter and Facebook or through your wonderful show and your guest appearances. It really is a joy just having you all in the Star Wars community and the Disney community. As far as my very favorite Star Wars memory, or just one that has had an impact on me, it's difficult to find my favorite fan moment because there's so many wonderful ones. Going to Celebration Anaheim, starting Coffee with Kenobi, writing for Stars.com. Those are all incredible, but it probably has to be either seeing the movie for the first time in 1978 at a drive-in, or maybe introducing them to my boys. Certainly watching the Clone Wars with my boys when they came out was a pretty wonderful thing. Something that I'll never forget. Watching Rebels with them, introducing my little boy who's 2 now to Star Wars, and seeing him get excited when we see the 501st and he sees the big stormtroopers, or hearing him say Darth Vave when he means Darth Vader. Those are pretty fantastic. As far as Disney goes, I know you just wanted one or the other, or maybe you didn't, but this is a bonus, so all right, good times. I think the Disney one for me would probably be when the first time I worked for Disney World in 1995, when I was doing Traditions, the class that everyone takes when they are training to be a cast member at Walt Disney World. I walked out from the tunnels through a back entrance to Cinderella's castle, and I walked out and I saw some characters getting pictures with little kids. And I just thought, oh my goodness, I'm working at Disney World. And I knew that for the next 6 months of my life, Disney World was my playground. And it was just an incredible experience, something I will always treasure, as is every time I get to hear your show. So thanks again, Richard and Sarah, so much for everything you've done for 100 episodes. And here's to 100 more.
Hey everyone, this is Mark Augushowitz, co-host of Talking Apes TV, and this is one of my favorite fan moments. On November 14th, 2002, that was the day that Kermit the Frog got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I was there with my co-host of Talking Apes TV, Richard Wolosky, who's also the co-host here at Skywalking Through Neverland. We were there not only to witness him get his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but also meet some of the Muppets, and we got our pictures taken with Sweetums, which was really cool. But the coolest thing of all is it was on November 14th, my birthday, and when the mayor declared it Kermit the Frog Day, that made Kermit the Frog Day the same day as my birthday, and as a huge Muppet fan, that's a big deal and is really, really cool.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Hello, my name is Amelia. I live in Los Angeles. My favorite fan moment is from J.R.R. Tolkien's book, The Lord of the Rings, when we find out that Durmhelm is really Eowyn and she's a woman. So in the final battle of Middle-earth, the Witch King of Angmar descends upon King Theoden's armies at Pelennor Fields and attacks King Theoden, who falls down. And there stands Durmhelm, the soldier, in between the Witch King and his prey. And the Witch King of Angmar says, quote, "Hinder me, thou fool! No living man may hinder me." But Durmhelm laughed, and the clear voice was like the ring of steel. "But no living man am I. You look upon a woman. Eowyn I am, Edmund's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and king. Be gone if you be not deathless, for living or dark undead, I will smite you if you touch him." Unquote.
Hey, this is Matt Moore, the co-host of Comics with Kenobi and a blogger at coffeewithkenobi.com. One of my most favorite Star Wars moments ever was when I was 9 years old and I had traveled alone from Germany to Kentucky to visit my grandparents and my aunt and uncle. And it was for the very first time that I was able to finally see Star Wars. And I saw it at a drive-in in Catlettsburg, Kentucky, and I sat on the hood of my aunt's 1974 Dodge Dart. And my aunt was amazed because even though the movie had been out for 2 years and I had never seen it, I knew every word, and she was amazed because she sat there and she watched me as I was entranced on this enormous screen watching the saga unfold and lip-syncing every line of dialogue. Of course, I had 2 years to prepare, and it's a moment that has always stuck with me, and this is why whenever I can find, if I'm fortunate, somebody who has a drive-in and they show any one of the Star Wars films, I will always go see it.
Hey, Skywalkers, this is Rob Dellinger, the official composer for Skywalking Through Neverland, and I've been thinking hard, trying to figure out my favorite fan moment of all time. There's a lot of contenders out there, like going to Star Wars Celebration 1, lots of stuff, but my favorite memory is my very first trip to Disneyland ever. My parents took my sister and I there. I was in the 3rd grade. It was almost summer. We got to the park. It was nighttime. We didn't want to use our ticket for that night, so we went and bought souvenirs outside of the park. I got a Mickey Mouse keychain. My sister got a Minnie Mouse keychain. We went across the street and had dinner at a little Chinese restaurant. The anticipation, the excitement was palpable. Of course, I lost my keychain because I was a little kid. But anyway, the next day we went to the park. It lived up to the hype, actually exceeded it. But just that anticipation was so magical, so exciting, I could never recreate it. That is my number one fan moment of all time, my first trip to Disneyland.
Skywalking Through Neverland.
Hi, this is Anthony Fox of the Mousepire podcast and proud Team Hoojib member. My favorite memory is from the time when I went and saw Star Wars Revenge of the Sith opening day. Now, some of you may remember that it did not play at the Chinese theater. It instead played at the Cinerama Dome over on Sunset. Well, some friends of mine from Disneyland got up and we went super early to like a 6 o'clock a.m. showing. And while we were waiting, though, for the movie to start, we were interviewed by Telemundo, and that was pretty funny and exciting. At least I didn't have to get translated. So that was my favorite memory. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jenna Bush, founder and editor-in-chief of Legion of Leia and co-host of Most Craved. So my favorite fan moment was I got to do a show with Stan Lee for years, and getting to meet him. I'd met him before just doing interviews, but getting to actually meet him, I found out he knew everything I had ever done and said, oh, I heard you wrote a comic. Will you sign it for me? It's still not over that. I still can't say that without getting choked up. That was absolutely my favorite fan moment, and getting to hear him tell stories about writing Spider-Man. Definitely my favorite fan moment.
Hey, this is Shelby from Tennessee, and my fan moment is actually the birth of my daughter, Rogue. Not only is she named after Rogue Squadron from Star Wars, not the X-Men, but the whole time I was in labor, my favorite fantasy trilogy ever, Lord of the Rings, was playing. And she came into the world right as the Battle of Pelennor Field started, which takes place in the third film, Return of the King. And I have always loved this series ever since I was 14 years old. I read all the books. Obviously, I've devoured all the movies. But now it holds an even bigger significance for me.
I am Chris Salton from Brews and Blasts, also the Collectors Hub. And a very special memory I had is when I was at Celebration. I don't remember if it was 5 or 6. I'm drawing a blank. But I attended the Star Tours panel. All of a sudden, George Lucas walked out on stage. And I didn't even know how to react. I was kind of going out of my mind. And I just took as many pictures as possible because that's probably the closest that I'll ever get to the maker. And I have some great pictures, and it was just a dream come true just to hear him talk live in person in front of me. That's probably, I mean, my hairs stand up. You know, it's a great memory for me.
My name's Beth Keithley. My biggest moment in fandom was when Beauty and the Beast came out and a princess got to be a book nerd, and I really felt for the first time that, like, Disney was part of my world too, and I loved it, and it made me so happy.
Hey, I'm Joe from Brews and Blasters and RetroZap.com. My favorite fan memory was about a year ago when, about 3 months after I launched RetroZap, I published an article that I thought would do nothing, and it kind of blew up. And the interaction I got to have with the entire Star Wars community was something that I never would have dreamed in my wildest dreams. I was talking to people that I considered like podcasting heroes, fan heroes. I was talking to and meeting people from all walks of life who love Star Wars, and it allowed me to really see Star Wars from so many different perspectives, and it really changed so much of what I feel about what the Star Wars fan community is and what it can do, and it can do so much, and it inspires me to do this every week and write every day.
Hey guys, this is Russ Flores, author of the Seen Unseen Disneyland series. I was calling in to congratulate you on 100 episodes and just love the show. The only comment I have right now is you need more, because I ran out. I actually have listened to all of the back shows now. But you also asked for my favorite memories. And being a show about both Star Wars and Disneyland, I decided to give you a favorite moment from each. So my favorite moment for Star Wars is actually opening day for the original Star Wars. I was actually very fortunate enough to go to our local theater on opening day with a good friend of mine. We stood out there in line. Unfortunately, I don't come from a big city, so we were 7th in line, even though we showed up only about 3 hours before the show, but we still had a great time, and it was an amazing experience. And then for Disneyland, my most memorable moment is the first time we took our daughter there. It was such a wonderful experience, and seeing her expression when she would see her favorite characters come to life, that will be a memory that goes with me forever. So again, thank you guys for a great show, and congratulations on 100 episodes.
Hello, Skywalkers. Jim Pruitt here. My favorite fan moment was when I was 15 years old and got to take a Greyhound bus to Manhattan Island from Boston with my best friend Richard, the guy who hosts this show, to attend a Star Wars sci-fi convention. Us kids had a blast roaming the New York City streets alone, no adults, and it served as a great point of independence and maturity for myself. So I'll always cherish that moment. Congrats on your upcoming 100th episode, Richard and Sarah.
Hey, Richard and Sarah. This is Michael, Chickavant's dad, calling from Deltona, Florida, with one of our family's favorite fandom moments. And that's when we got to actually be a part of and enjoy the Haunted Mansion holiday at Disneyland in the opening year of 2001. Our family, being fans of the Haunted Mansion, as well as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, were really happy to be there the opening year. It was just by chance that we took our first trip out to Disneyland and got to experience that. And we've been back quite a few times to enjoy the Haunted Mansion holiday, as well as go back just to enjoy the Haunted Mansion in its normal form. So again, being big fans of Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas and the Haunted Mansion, and Disney having all of that combined for that event and enjoy that ride. So that's our moment, and congratulations on 100 episodes. Thanks again, and Neverland on Alderaan.
Hey, Richard and Sarah. This is Michael Smith in Cadillac, Michigan. My favorite fan memory is sitting down last year with my daughters, who were then 8 and 12, and watching Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope with them. It was their first time ever seeing the movie, and watching it through their eyes for the first time, it was just like sitting back in the theater in 1977.
Hey, Richard and Sarah.
Hey, Skywalkers, it's Daniel Berry and my wife,
Lindsay Berry.
And we just wanted to wish Richard and Sarah a big congratulations on 100 episodes. Crazy, right, Linz?
Super crazy.
Now, we love you guys. You guys are our favorite podcast. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Our favorite Star Wars / Disney fan moment would probably be meeting Richard and Sarah at Star Wars Weekends 2 years ago.
It sure was. We love you guys so much. Congratulations again.
And big shout out to all of our listeners and friends. You can catch me and Lindsay over at Podcast 66. We do a weekly show with our good friend Ryan Donahoe, and we are just so happy to be included in this 100th episode celebration of Skywalking Through Neverland. And there's a good piece of advice they always try to share with us. Do you remember what it is?
I sure do.
What is it?
Neverland on Alderaan.
That's right. Good job.
My name is Dennis Keithley. My biggest moment in fandom was when I was in 3rd grade and Return of the Jedi was coming out, and I got to spend all of the second half of the school year following all the developments in the books and the posters and the toys on the shelves.
Action figures each sold separately from Kenner.
Hey, Skywalkers, this is Ryan Stamfley from Western Australia. Thanks so much for asking about our favourite fan moments. I think of mine every day. Travelling to the USA to go to Star Wars Celebration this year would have to be it. I got to finally meet up with some of my best friends and my favourite podcasters and some of my heroes, and it was just the best time ever. If I had to choose an individual moment, it would probably be the opening panel and the Episode 7 trailer with Matt Clifton. But look, I have great memories just waiting in lines with David, Luann, and Matt, and other friends I made while I was there. It was the best time ever. I didn't want to leave, but when I did, it was with more friends and family. Congratulations on 100 shows. We love you guys.
Hi, this is Michael Lee, staff writer from geeksado.com, and my Disney memory is when I waited probably 13, 14 hours to get into Disneyland to be a part of the Pirates of the Caribbean premiere. I was supposed to work that day, actually, but I wanted that day off so I can get closer to the actors. I brought my Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas book. When Johnny Depp signed it, he's like, this is the first thing that I signed and I kind of like it as opposed to all these posters. So that kind of made my day.
You forgot one very important thing, mate. I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
Scott Mucko. I'm from Anaheim, California. I don't know that this is a favorite moment, but it is certainly a big moment. I dealt with cancer, very bad cancer, when I was 21. And I had a therapist come into the room when I was getting chemoed, tell me, try some imagery. Think of something, when you close your eyes, think of something that's battling the cancer. And so I would close my eyes, and I would see stormtroopers running around inside my body shooting the cancer. Now, my stormtroopers could actually hit something, but that was part of my process in getting through all the cancer therapy. That's my moment. It's not a particularly fun one, but it certainly was impactful to me.
Hey, Sarah and Rich. This is Dave Parfit from AdventuresByDaddy.com, and I wanted to share one of my favorite fan moments. I can remember going to Star Wars, seeing it in the theater in 1977, but the thing I remember was not hearing a lot of the buzz beforehand. So my dad got me out of the blue and said, Dave, do you want to go see Star Wars today? And I go, what's Star Wars? I didn't know what he was talking about. And he goes to me, The Adventures of Luke Skywalker. And he's being kind of silly dad. I'm like, okay, whatever, Dad. Sure, I'll go see this Star Wars thing. And so we go to the movies, my dad, my sister, and I, we go to the movies. And opening scene where the Star Destroyer is flying over our heads, firing on the smaller ship, and the Star Destroyer keeps coming and coming and coming. And I'm like just totally like immersed in this new entire world. And I remember like looking up over my shoulder, up over my head, where's this ship coming from? I was sold at that point, and went to see Empire Strikes Back with my dad when it came out. And it was one of the first movies I remember seeing in the theater and just being totally blown away by it. So I want to thank my dad for that.
I am your father.
Hi, Steve Bloom here, the voice of Spike Spiegel and Wolverine and Starscream and several other things. And my most memorable fan moment happened years ago in New Zealand when a guy told me that his autistic son spoke for the first time after seeing an episode of Digimon. Something connected in his brain when he was watching Geomon, male character Geomon. And for the first time, he actually responded with words. He was completely nonverbal, sat in a corner and rocked. And when he heard that voice, something in his brain opened up, and he started watching the show. The family started watching with him, and he began speaking in English, in perfect English. He had been absorbing this stuff for his whole 8-year life, and decided to finally just open up and start talking to the family. And he became friends with other otaku online. He became an otaku, was madly interested in anime, and he is now high functioning. He has a lot of friends, and he actually feels like he has a place in the world. And his father, when he first approached me, was this huge man covered in tattoos, kind of terrifying looking. But he came back the next day with the little boy, who at that time was 12 years old, and his sister and the mother. And I saw them in my autograph line, and I just stopped what I was doing. I got up, and we all hugged and cried together because I felt like all of this time that I'd been spending in rubber rooms was actually affecting people out there in the world. And it changed me on a cellular level. So that kind of opened up my eyes to the value of what we do and gave me purpose as a voice actor and as a person.
My name's Zeb, you love rat.
Thank you once again to Teresa Delgado for getting us that soundbite of Steve Bloom, who is, of course, the voice of Zeb on Star Wars Rebels. He is such a nice guy.
He's a great guy and just loves fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love this new generation of Star Wars actors and voice actors because they were once fans themselves.
Yeah.
Because they were growing up like us when the original trilogy came out and the prequel trilogy, so they were fans, so they know exactly what it's like.
Yeah, it's so cool, and so everyone's so nice, and you can follow them on Twitter, and
they'll follow you back
follow
or
you
answer
back.
you.
Yeah. Like I noticed Vanessa Marshall will tweet at night, when she's at home, she'll like go through all the tweets of the day. So will So will her universe, Ashley Eckstein.
Well, Ashley loves her fans.
Yeah.
That's evident whenever you meet her. Because she remembers everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't forget anyone.
Yeah. Well, it's not an episode of Skywalking Through Neverland without one of Rob Dellinger's Skywalker of the Week jingles. So it is time to announce who is the Skywalker of the Week on our episode 100.
Dave Scale. Dave Scale.
Now, that, of course, was Dave Scale, our Rebel spy and ghost host here on Skywalking Through Neverland. And I thought it would be good for him to be the Skywalker of the Week since he had a lot of creative input on this episode and the Spooktacular Trick or Treat episodes. And it's fun to bounce off of so many different people, including him, who can really see a good big picture and suggest lots of creative ideas. So I thought, okay, if anyone's going to be the Skywalker of the Week for episode 100, let's make it Dave.
Oh, now Skywalkers, you can be the Skywalker of the Week and win your very own jingle. All you have to do is share this show with some other people on either Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, any other social media, or even meet us and say hello. We love that. So Rob will compose that jingle, and you can go see all of those jingles or hear all of those jingles at robdellinger.com. That's ROBDEHLINGER.com. Thank you, Rob.
The John Williams of podcasting.
Just as a reminder, you can get your very own I Was the Skywalker of the Week t-shirt from our TeePublic site, along with our BB-8 Mickey Ears t-shirt and our new BB-8 holiday design, which is super cute. It has BB-8 dressed up in a Santa hat and a Santa belt in the snow with BB-8 snowflakes all around. So it's very festive, and it looks perfect on like a long sleeve tee, don't you think?
Oh, it does. And you know what? I think BB-8 needs to be our next Skywalker of the Week.
Oh, before we even know.
We'll combine the shirts. The Skywalker of the Week plus the BB-8 in the snow.
Oh, that'd be cute. Oh. And then, of course, we have our Skywalking Through Neverland logo tee and our Team Hoojib t-shirt, if you're Team Hoojib. So just as a reminder, if you need some Christmas gifts or if you would like to get your shirt, just head on over to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and click on the link to TeePublic.
And now back to our Skywalkers sharing their fan moments. Up next, James Caan, one of our favorite drop-by buddies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, once again, he wrote the novelization to Return of the Jedi, so you're always welcome in our home.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm James Caan, and my most memorable fan moment was also the beginning of my Hollywood career. It's a story some of you have probably heard before. But I was called at the emergency room where I was working to try to go down to the set and help resuscitate an alien. So I became one of the technical advisors on E.T., in that famous resuscitation scene. I went down to the set at Laird Studios where Spielberg was directing at that moment. He was always a huge presence in my mind. I loved him. I'd been a fan forever. The idea of actually getting to meet him on the set was just a huge honor. So I went down there, and he was like this young kid. It was like a frat atmosphere. Stephen and Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy and Melissa Matheson, who wrote it, were just sort of hanging out and talking very excitedly and quickly about shooting the next scene and rewriting it and what to do and how to do it. And he looked up at the few of us who had showed up from the hospital, and he had a big smile on his face, and he just walked over and introduced himself. It was so exciting for me. And then, of course, shortly after that, he assigned me the novelization of Poltergeist, so it was like fan frenzy squared, and that was my biggest and best fan moment. Thanks.
Hey Richard and Sarah, this is Jeff from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I debated a little while about sending something in for the 100th episode. The closest thing I could say to a fan moment isn't really a happy one. My youngest brother died in 2011. It wasn't until the next year that I was able to go to Disneyland for the first time in 13 years. 1999 had been the last time I'd been there. California Adventure was literally a dirt hole in the ground, but it was the first time since he died where I felt some semblance of normal, and that's kind of how I feel every time I go back.
Hey, Richard and Sarah. This is Hector Rios Jr. from Burbank, California. And my most memorable fan moment actually happened a few days ago when I took my 3-year-old daughter to the grocery store. We were walking down the aisles and we saw the Star Wars branded Coffee Mate creamers. And she started jumping up and down saying, Papa, Papa, look, Chewbacca, Chewbacca, 3PO. Oh, it was so cute. She instantly recognized her favorite characters from the galaxy far, far away, and it just made this Star Wars dad really, really proud.
My name's Sal Perales. You guys might know me from the Rogue Rebels. I do Quinlan Voss and Kanan Jarrus. My favorite moment, Star Wars moment, has got to be being at Celebration and watching the trailer with my kids for the first time. The teaser, I guess I should say the teaser, Thursday morning, with everybody on the big screen that Lego had it. We weren't in the screening room, but we were there together, and it was really, really awesome. I like sharing Star Wars with my family.
I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things on the world was the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. In this job, I get to travel to a lot of cool places, and I got to visit the set of The Hobbit. And when I was there in New Zealand, I ended up being there with a friend of mine, and we were like, we should stay on our own dime and do something. We wound up deciding to head to the actual Mount Doom. I had a ring from my first serious ex-girlfriend. She came to see Fellowship of the Ring with me, and we actually took the ring to the top of Mount Doom and threw it in. So that was a very rewarding fan experience.
My name is Matt Summers with the 501st Legion, and my favorite Star Wars moment is actually very recently we did a troop at the Hillside Orphanage that I participated in, and being able to troop that and see all those kids' smiles and how happy they were to see Star Wars characters there. It's pretty special, you know. Just being able to have my fandom and my love for Star Wars bring joy to others is what I like the most.
This is Joel Amos with the movie Mensch. My fan moment, I have to say, I'd never been to London, never been to England, always wanted to go. Got the opportunity to go to the Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1 junket in London. Saw the movie at the Warner Brothers screening room in London, left it, was so stunned at how awesome it was and my jet lag, and proceeded to walk directly into the street, almost got hit by a double-decker bus. A friend of mine grabbed me, pulled me back. The bus went by and it had the Harry Potter banner on it, and I've never felt like I had made it more than almost getting hit by a double-decker bus with Harry Potter on it after seeing Harry Potter in London.
My name is Marcus Doring, TK14057 of the Mid-South Garrison, the 501st Legion. My biggest fandom moment was my first attendance of Celebration, which was Celebration 2 in Indianapolis in 2002. At that time, I still lived in Germany, and I flew over just for that occasion. It was absolutely spectacular. That's the first time I've seen the 501st in action. They were doing crowd control at that time. And ever since, I was an even bigger Star Wars fan than I thought I was.
Hey guys, this is David Spencer from the podcast Thank You Internet. So my quick story, as quick as I can make it, when I was a freshman in high school living in Fairbanks, Alaska, there was a famous dog musher who passed away, and I found out through the grapevine that George Lucas was going to show up there. So this memorial service for somebody I barely knew, I went to only so I could shake hands with George Lucas. I'm a little ashamed, but you know what? It was worth it.
Hi, this is Rick Marson from Zoms Plush Zombies. Check out all my plush zombies at zoms.com. I really enjoy comics, and one of my favorite moments, comics and movies and TV shows, zombies in particular, one of my favorite moments was when Michael Rooker actually came to my booth and bought a Zom from me. He took pictures with me, and he actually shooed other people away who wanted to take pictures with him and told him to go pay for it.
This is Sabina with Legion of Leia, writer and podcaster. I have a couple moments. One is when Star Wars Rebels was announced, I was really excited that there was a character named Sabine, which is close to my name, and that's like the closest in the Star Wars universe to like having a name be similar. My second story is about the Force Awakens trailer. I got to show it to my dad because he doesn't really like watch TV anymore, but he introduced me to Star Wars and the original trilogy. I honestly can't tell you how old I was when I saw Star Wars because it was just such a part of my background growing up that I'm like, I guess when I was a baby. So it was really emotional for me to show him the trailer for The Force Awakens because it's kind of like a weird full circle because now it's me explaining to him and showing him Star Wars now, where he showed me when I was little.
My name is Scott Gerstle, and I'm from the Rebel Legion. My favorite fan moment, actually, when Empire Strikes Back, actually Darth Vader disclosing to Luke that he was his father. I was with my grandfather in the theater, and when he said that, I actually screamed, "No!" Almost just like in unison with Luke. Still sticks in my mind as the greatest fan moment for me.
Hey, Skywalking Through Neverland. Congratulations on your 100th episode and happy anniversary. This is Adam Bray. I'm co-author on Ultimate Star Wars and Star Wars Absolutely Everything You Need to Know. Since I started writing about Star Wars, it's pretty much been one huge fan moment for about the last two and a half years now. There's been so many great things from meeting people who work on Star Wars to meeting the fans at conventions and being up on stage with the Lucasfilm authors to actually working and contributing to the material in reference books for DK and StarWars.com. But I think one of the many things that really sticks out is when I got to work on the first Rebels visual guide. And I got to interview Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg and Joel Aaron. Just a chance to talk to those three guys who I really look up to for their contributions to Star Wars and film, many films and TV shows in general. It was. I mean, I was completely geeking out. I was really nervous to talk to them, but I'm really glad that Lucasfilm gave me that opportunity. And so definitely one of the high points of my time, both as a Star Wars writer and as a Star Wars fan. But anyway, keep up the good work and good luck on your continuing success.
Hi, this is Eric Walker, Mace Tawani from Star Wars The Ewok Adventures. My first big fan moment and memory of Star Wars goes way back to 1983 with Return of the Jedi. I had just become a teenager, and I was excited to go see Return of the Jedi in the movie theaters, and I sat down, and the second that Star Wars came up on the screen, suddenly the audience started cheering and erupting, and I thought to myself, why is everyone clapping and cheering? The movie just started. Do they know something I don't know? Well, apparently they did, and I loved Return of the Jedi so much that I must have seen it 15 or 20 times that summer. But little did I know, in less than 1 year, I would actually be auditioning for the man himself, George Lucas, and I was honored enough to get the role of Mace Tawani, Star Wars' first Mace, in the Ewok Adventures.
This is Adam Medina, and I live in North Hollywood, California. And my favorite fan moment took place at Disneyland on August 8th, 2012. That's where I proposed to my now wife in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle. It was pretty amazing. It was on my birthday, and everything was roped off for the fireworks, and I talked to some of the cast members, and secretly they let us, go under. And my wife thought that we were going under to take some photos because it was my birthday. They were letting us do that because it was my birthday. I was there to propose, and I had been hiding the ring in my pocket all day. So I got down on one knee and proposed to her, and it was amazing. It was at sunset, and there was thousands of people lined up for the fireworks. So they were all taking pictures of us and screaming and hollering, and it was fantastic. And afterwards, we went to City Hall and got Just Engaged buttons, and they took us shopping and bought us bride and groom hats and dolls. So it was a pretty amazing day, and one I will never forget.
Hello, this is Jeff Ellis. Hi, Skywalking Through Neverland. My most important event is watching the trailer this last week. Man, that was amazing. Tears. So many tears. Thank you.
Hey, Skywalkers. This is David Manderville from Florida.
My fan moment, besides getting a chance to finally meet you two at Celebration Anaheim, was also during Celebration Anaheim during that same party where I met you. I was approached by Dutch Delaney, who is a good friend and handler of Stephen Stanton, and Rick Fitz, both of whom I think you know very well. And he actually recognized me and said, "Hey, I know you." And I was absolutely flabbergasted that he knew me. So I asked him where from, and of course he said, "Facebook, you're all over it, and I follow you, and I think it's awesome." So having a star like that, somebody who is well known and connected with Stephen Stanton and others, recognize me was an amazing moment, and Star Wars is the reason for that. Happy anniversary, guys. Here's to 100 more.
Make no mistake. From now on, failure will have consequences.
Hi, this is Steve Hewson from Torpedo Comics, and this is my greatest fan moment, and it's a personal one for me. It's the first time I met John Buscema, my favorite artist of all time, and I'll remember it forever till the day I die. Thank you.
I'm Scott Hoover with People Magazine and Comic Book Resources, and I think my favorite fan moment was when I went to see Attack of the Clones. They screened it at Skywalker Ranch, which was already enough of a fan moment to be able to see it in the theater there at the ranch. But afterward, when we got out of the movie, we went into a little cocktail reception, and it was filled with different Star Wars characters, and it was like, oh, there's a life-size R2-D2, and there's a life-size Greedo, and there's a life-size George Lucas. And George Lucas was actually real George Lucas, and he had actually showed up to the cocktail party and mingled with us. And then on top of that, Samuel L. Jackson was in town to do interviews, and he heard about the party, and there was a life-size Yoda, and he wanted to get his picture taken with the life-size Yoda. They put the picture in a snow globe, so Sam Jackson crashed the party. So that was about as fan a moment as you could have right there.
This is David Scale, the Ghost Host and the Rebel Spy here on Skywalking Through Neverland. And my favorite fan moment of many that I could choose from was Star Wars, going back to seeing the original episode in the West Cove. But I'm going to actually go further into the saga, into the early 2000s. Where my fan moment's going to be when I went to an industry party within my industry and entertainment industry where we had a bunch of entertainers. Richard and I, we'd been friends for a long time. We never really hung out. And that night we actually kind of started talking, and Richard realized I was a Star Wars fan. And with Richard, that's like, hey, this guy's worth getting to know. And from there, we started hanging out, and then it eventually evolved into us being really, really best friends, and me being best man in their wedding. And I was actually there when Sarah approached him and said, can I dance with a Jedi? So I'm going to pick that moment as my fan moment.
Hey guys, I am George Shaw, the composer and creator behind Star Wars Musical. One of my most amazing moments in Star Wars fandom was my freshman year at USC, where I studied music and dreamt of becoming a composer and one day working in the Star Wars world. At the time, the film school, which is where George Lucas graduated from, was opening the Zemeckis Center for Digital Arts. And George Lucas and Spielberg each donated $1 million to open this fancy new facility, and they were having the opening ceremony. Of course, not being a cinema student and being in the music school, I was not invited, but a buddy of mine was like, let's go swing by and just check it out, see what's going on. So we walked up, and there was a side door that was actually open, and so we just meandered in, and first thing I did, I just sort of walked up to George Lucas and shook his hand. And unfortunately, we didn't have camera phones back then. So I didn't get a picture at all. To get to actually meet George Lucas himself and like touch his hand was an amazing fan experience.
Hey, Richard and Sarah, Matt Clifton out from Bradenton, Florida. One of my favorite fan memories was one of my first autograph experiences. It was a small convention out in Tampa, Florida, and the only guest there was Yoshitaka Amano. He's a master painter, did character designs for various video games and movies. Me and my sister were up there, and he was sketching in books, and when it was our turn, my sister gave him her book, and he smiled at her, and he started to sketch her face, a self-portrait of her in her book, and I just remember being absolutely in awe watching him sketch her likeness in a matter of seconds. It was a really awesome experience, and I really think it was the beginning of my love for the autograph experience and just original art in general. Thank you guys so much. Happy 100th episode, many more to come, and never land on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
My name's Josh Lobb. I'm here with Infinite Expression. It's my art booth, and I have a clothing line as well. But basically, when I was a little kid, I was in a movie with some friends. It's called Surge of Power, and I had no idea who else was going to be in it, but they had a ton of cool cameos and whatnot, and I was a huge Star Trek nerd. So we go to see the movie, and they have the original Hulk there, a couple other original superheroes, and then Uhura's there. She just made like a 5-second cameo, and I got to meet her and take a picture with her in the lobby. It was the coolest second of my life.
Hi there, Richard and Sarah, and the listening audience of Skywalking Through Neverland. This is Adam O'Brien, the host of Jogcast Radio here in Australia. I'd like to tell you about a little bit of a fan experience I had very recently. Got to meet one of my voice acting absolute champions that I grew up listening to from the early 80s, and his name is Richard Epcar. Richard is somebody I followed through Ghost in the Shell, Robotech, and many other great cartoons. And when I finally got to meet him, I met a man who is more than anything a mentor to me now, and also one that is a good and dear friend. He and his wife have become an extension of the family almost by getting to know us, and at the end of the day, sharing life experiences with. Now, this kind of thing brings you to the core of meeting your people you grew up listening to as a fan, and it meant the absolute world to me. So this is what makes doing podcasting and interviewing so great. And if you can ever have a fan experience like that, it will be something to savour and treasure. And I hope you all get that chance. Thanks a lot, and have a great one live from here in Quinlan's Cantina on the Gold Coast of Australia. We'd like to say thanks.
My name is John Nagel, and my day job is I'm a middle school teacher, and I teach drama. And one class I teach is a class just for 6th graders, and it's a quarter-long class where I teach a number of different performance techniques. But at the end of the quarter, I show Star Wars. Not episode 4, not episode 5, Star Wars, this 1977 version. I have a number of students who are Star Wars fans. A lot of them aren't. Before I show it, I do explain the notion of the monomyth, the hero with 1,000 faces, and the different steps of the hero's tale. Yesterday, I was showing the film to a group of 6th graders, and one of them threw up his arms in cheer when he saw Han Solo shoot. Not Han shoot first, Han shot, period. That was a really awesome moment.
My name is Victoria. I'm a cosplayer who goes by Scruffy Rebel, and my favorite fan moment is when I won a costume award in the light-up Tron dress that Jinyo had made me, and the prize was awarded by Tron himself, Bruce Boxleitner, and it was this awesome Tron art book that had been signed by everyone. It was from the classic Tron, and I loved it because it was a great gift to give to Jinyo, being the massive Tron fan that he is.
Hey, Sarah and Richard, this is Kathy Kelly from Special Mouse Podcast at specialmouse.com. Congratulations on reaching episode 100 of Skywalking Through Neverland. What an incredible milestone. You asked for us to share our favorite fan memories, and I would like to share the memory that I have of seeing Star Wars, the original, in the theater with my family in 1977. My dad decided to give my mom a break. She was home with a new baby number 6. So he decided to take the 5 of us older girls to the theater to see this movie that he had heard so much about called Star Wars, with science fiction and space and all of that. And of course, we all looked at each other like, ew, this does not sound like the kind of movie that we would like to see. But if you remember, these were the days before Netflix and Hulu and cable, so we didn't really get a chance to see a lot of movies. So we jumped on the chance and we all went to the theater with my dad. And we got there a little bit late, so we missed the scroll. We missed the first, 3 or 4 minutes of the film. But we're blown away, absolutely fell in love with it. I think I had my first crush on Han Solo at the time. I think I was 13, I think. And but at the end, after we were getting ready to leave, my dad was feeling sort of, he missed the beginning of the film, and he there were a few kind of unanswered questions about the plot, and so he asked the usher if we could stay in our seats and just watch the first 5-10 minutes of the film as it was being shown back to back. And the usher agreed. We sat in our seats. Of course, you know what happens. We stayed through the entire film. Again, could not get up, could not tear ourselves away from the magic on the screen. So that was my favorite fan memory from Star Wars. And once again, congratulations on reaching episode 100.
I'm Jim Cyril from Coverage Inc. Films, and my favorite ultimate geek fanboy moment was meeting William Shatner, who is also starring in our movie Malevolent, which was just this past week, Monday, in the recording studio. I've been a total Trekkie Shatner nerd for literally 45 years, and it was a total wish list thing like, do you think we could get William Shatner to be in our movie? A couple phone calls later, we had William Shatner in our movie, and there I am sitting on the couch interviewing him, shaking his hand, asking him personal questions, and all I could think was, I'm about to have a nerd explode into drooly bits all over the place, but I had to keep my together because I had to get it done, and I did. I exploded that night.
Hey, Skywalkers, it's Luann Manderville in Satellite Beach, Florida, and I have a kind of a funny fan moment to share. And that would be when my husband David and I went to Star Wars Celebration 5 in Orlando. And so we're driving along in the car, and we're almost to International Drive, where the Peabody is. And there's this guy that crosses the street with a cowboy hat on. And of course, they're crossing the street, and we're like, oops, we almost hit those guys. And I said, oh my God, that's the guy in the cowboy hat. David, what's that guy's name again? And he goes, Filoni, Star Wars, The Clone Wars. I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, that was a funny. So we get inside and we meet Filoni himself and we take pictures, and he was so friendly and so gracious with his big old smile. He's just so engaging. And so, of course, we never told him that we almost ran him over because he was crossing the street. Anyway, I just wanted to share that fun fan moment, and there are so many. And just being connected to all of you and all of our wonderful friends that we have met through Star Wars and Disney. And gosh, I tell you what, our lives are so much richer for it. So love you bunches. This is Luann Manderville. Take care.
Hi, I'm Tanya from Coverage Inc. Films and MalevolentMovie.com. And my favorite fan moment is meeting Morena Baccarin Inara on Firefly. She's also going to be in Deadpool, and she's in Gotham right now, and she is actually our lead actress in Malevolent. So that was my favorite fan moment.
My name is Roxanne Wicks. I'm the wife of the amazing, talented Donald Wicks. And my biggest fandom moment was probably back in I think it was 1983 when Return of the Jedi opened. And I remember distinctly standing in line, waiting to get into the theater. And I remember standing in that line for hours on end until I finally got to see the movie.
So when we put it out there that we wanted favorite fan moments, so many memories came to mind from all you Skywalkers, and you were very anxious to share them. However, when we were talking to people at Downtown Disney during the trailer debut a few weeks ago, there was one who just wasn't in the mood to talk. Now, we're not going to say her name, but here I am trying to get her to speak.
Jessica Mucko, tell us your favorite fan moment. Jessica Mucko, where are you going? This is not as. Why are you making this difficult? Why? All right, just tell us, what is your favorite fan moment? Go ahead. Stop it. I don't even want your fan moment anymore.
So, did you notice how I never mentioned Jessica Mucko's name?
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah. So Jessica Mucko, she didn't want to talk at
No.
that time.
So you decided not to say her name?
No, I'm not going to call her out and say Jessica Mucko didn't want to talk.
Right.
So she didn't want to share her fan moment right then and there. So Jessica Mucko doesn't. But I'm going to stay above it, and I'm not going to mention Jessica Mucko's name. Okay? Let's just move on from the whole Jessica Mucko debacle, okay?
Okay, well, let's move on to one of our Skywalkers, Kai Charles, who covered San Diego Comic-Con for us.
Hi, Richard and Sarah. My favorite fan memory this year was at Star Wars Celebration with Carrie Fisher. She was running late, and they said that there would be no personalization done that day. And I was so nervous when I saw her that I blurted out, "I love you now, and I loved you then." And she smiled and looked at me and said, "I'm pretty sure that I love you too." And I laughed and I said, "Well, of course you love me. I demand it." And she looked me in the eye and she said, "What's your name?" And she asked me to spell it, and I was the only one that day that got a personalized autograph from her. So that's it, my favorite memory.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Hey Skywalkers, this is Amanda Bond, Werewolf Cowgirl on Twitter, and I'm from Las Vegas, and I've given a lot of thought to this, and I need to share the moment that, I don't know if it's my greatest fan moment, but it was definitely the one that I most acted like crazy fangirl. So we were at Disneyland, my husband and I, and they have these plush Ewoks that you can only buy in the park. And Ewoks were pretty much everything to me as a 5-year-old. They were my introduction to Star Wars. My first memory of Star Wars involves my dad explaining to me what Ewoks are and who Princess Leia is. I'm wearing my Ewok shirt. I'm buying an armful of Ewok plushies because they're all different and you need to collect them all. And I go up to the counter and the cast member goes, "Do you like Ewoks?" And I think that I gave a really intelligent response as a woman in her 30s who has a career and, helps her family out and all that. I went, "Yeah, I love Ewoks." And she points over to the hat counter and says, "My fellow cast member, Margot, who's working over there right now, was in the Star Wars movie. She was the Ewok that took the gun away from Han Solo." At that moment, it took every ounce of willpower for me not to squeal at the highest pitch possible. It was just so overwhelming. My little 5-year-old girl self inside was like, I am meeting an actual Ewok. I just about lost it. And so I walk over to the counter and I go to Marco, "Your fellow cast members tell me you were in Star Wars." I'm trying to keep it cool, but I'm pretty sure by this point I am shaking slightly. I am sure that the crazy fangirl is coming out just a little bit. And Margot, being a very gracious woman that she is, says, "Yes, I was the Ewok that took the gun from Han Solo." And I said, "I'm a huge fan. Only let's do that in the appropriate voice. I'm a huge fan." It's about that pitch. And thankfully my husband was there and had, 1, made sure I didn't faint, 2, convinced me to stay to meet her, and 3, took a picture of us. Seriously, I don't really get into these fangirl squee moments, but that was definitely one. As I'm holding an armful of Ewok plushies, wearing an Ewok shirt. And that is my favorite fangirl moment.
Hey, Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers. This is Diane Akehurst, also known as Shasta Ridge, and I am from Washington State. I wanted to share one of my favorite fan moments from 1977. That's when I heard the soundtrack to Star Wars A New Hope for the first time and fell in love with John Williams' music. I know that's probably when all of us remember hearing his music for the first time, but I had the benefit of hearing it without having seen the movie yet. My dad and mom saw the movie without kids the first time and brought home the soundtrack, and that music just filled our living room, just poured from that giant stereo console in our living room. So I was a huge fan from the beginning. Of course, add the movie to the music, and I am a Star Wars, John Williams music fan for life.
Hi, I'm Dino Andrade. I'm the voice of the Scarecrow in Batman Arkham Asylum. And as for fan moments, one of the most special things ever was getting to meet Nichelle Nichols and Edward James Olmos together at the same con and realize I'm signing with these amazing people whom I've looked up to and admired like all my life. I'm next to Uhura and Commander Adama. How amazing is that? Yeah, I was speechless the whole time.
Hi, this is artist Denise Vasquez. My favorite Star Wars memory is waiting in line for 2 hours with my mom and hundreds of other people to see Return of the Jedi.
My name is Maria Isabel Heisel, and my favorite memory as Severus Snape is when I went to a convention and all the girls were hugging me because I'm so lonely. It was wonderful.
Hello, this is Jonah Marie Macias from the WookieGunner.com, and my favorite fan moment happened at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. I like to make Tuca dolls based on the Tuca doll design from Star Wars The Clone Wars, so I made a Tuca doll with the Wolfpack symbol for Dave Filoni. I didn't think I would have the chance to meet him until I found out that he was going to sign at the Hasbro booth, so I was fortunate enough to meet him in person, and I gave him the Tuca doll, since I wanted to thank him for all that he's done for the Star Wars universe. And the day only got better when he and Ashley Eckstein made an appearance at the Ahsoka Lives Day event, which is another favorite fan moment of mine that I will always treasure.
Hi, this is Lisa Solinger, and my most important Star Wars fandom moment was when my son came home from the first day of kindergarten and got off the bus and said very enthusiastically, "Mom, did you know there's this thing? It's called Star Wars!" And I silently did a little happy dance and cheer because I knew that we were going to have something in common and something to share for the rest of our lives.
Hey, Richard and Sarah, it's Colleen Roney, co-host of the Once Upon a Time fan podcast. And first, let me say congratulations on 100 episodes. That's a huge accomplishment, and I know it's a lot of work, and especially for the amount of work you guys put in, that's fantastic. Keep it up. We really love the podcast. I know you wanted to hear a good fan moment. I have a ton of them, but I'm going to choose one that for me was probably just the pinnacle of the Regal Con weekend for us. As Once Upon a Time fans, obviously we kind of focus more on that, but for me, the moment was when I was in the hallway of the hotel where the event was being held, and I was talking to Ian Bailey, who plays August W. Booth on Once Upon a Time, or as most people recognize him as Pinocchio, grown-up Pinocchio. And we were having a conversation, and I'd handed him a little gift from our podcast to him. And my husband is a huge fan. As many of you, if you listen to our podcast, you know that he is the favorite character of his on the show. And when I was talking to Ian about the podcast, and he looked at me and he says, wait, is your husband's name Jeff? My heart started pounding, for his favorite character to know who he is. I mean, it was just huge. And to know his name, he didn't even know my name at that point in time. So it was really, really special for me to be there and to share that with him. And then for Ian to say, hey, are you guys going to be at my table for dinner that night at the banquet? And I said, well, I don't know. And he goes, make that happen. Do it. Make sure you're there. So, it was kind of a really special moment to have, somebody who you admire. I love Ian as well as my husband does, but to have somebody you really admire to, really make an effort to really want to sit down and have a conversation with you, to make that effort. It was really, really special. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Sorry for going long. Congratulations again.
Hi, my name is Adrienne with the Los Angeles Dumbledore's Army. My most favorite fan moment is the first time I went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. To see Hogwarts in real life was breathtaking.
Hey, Sarah and Richard. This is Glenn Stein from Jacksonville and soon to be back in Nashville. I became a Taylor Swift fan when I saw her perform Tim McGraw before it was released to radio, and I've seen her perform more than 30 times since then. My Frozen fandom has kind of gotten out of control since I became a Disney World annual pass holder. On Halloween, it all came together when I went to Taylor Swift's 1989 tour in Tampa, and she came out to sing Style dressed as Olaf, with her dancers dressed as reindeer. So we had the best Frozen sing-along ever.
You want to build a snowman? It doesn't have to be a snowman.
I'm Jinyo from Gold Bubble Clothing, and my most memorable fan moment would probably be when I proposed to Victoria at at the Comic-Con in Kansas City at Peter Mayhew's panel. So Chewbacca himself helped me propose to her.
Hi, this is Andy Wolf, Creation Entertainment, as well as Andy Bray, the actor. And my favorite fan moment is getting to play Chekhov on a Star Trek fan film opposite Walter Koenig, the original Chekhov. As a Star Trek geek, it doesn't get any better than that, folks. And also, after working with Walter, we became friends, and he was even at my wedding. How about that for a Star Trek fan moment?
My name's Justin. I was number 117 in line for episode 1, The Phantom Menace, with LiningUp.net. And the craziest thing I remember about the episode 1 line was we were just hanging out one night in the middle of the week, and Ray Park showed up. And no one knew what he looked like, and no one knew what he sounded like. All we knew was like this deep accent, you know, Fia is my ally. And then this guy with like kind of a high-pitched voice and bleach blonde, you know, good-looking, you know, surfer guy shows up. He's like, I'm Ray Park. I'm Darth Maul. And everyone's like, what? And everyone wanted pictures, and like there was nothing to sign. So like everybody in line was like, oh, we're just hanging out and this is cool.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
Hey, Sarah and Richard. This is Derek from Houston, Texas. Raising Fangirls are at Lonnie_Spear on Twitter. Just sending in my fan moment. Now I could choose anything from proposing to my wife on Main Street USA at Disney World, Padawan Fangirl's first words being Yoda, or taking my fangirls out to Force Friday and buying Youngling Fangirl her plush BB-8. But my fan moment definitely has to be taking Padawan Fangirl to Disney World for the first time. Just seeing her eyes light up when she saw the castle for the first time, meeting her favorite characters, Anna, Elsa, Mickey Mouse, and such. Just watching her experience Disney World was the greatest moment. Well, congrats on the 100th episode, and here's to 100 more. And remember, guys, we'll never land on Alderaan.
Wow. All right, my name is Stephanie Zuleta, and I'm here at Kamikaze with these awesome people that I just met, and they love BB-8, and that's freaking awesome. I'm going to talk about the first time I went to my first ever convention, and it was the Star Wars Celebration. I believe that was 2014. That was the first time I started cosplaying. I'm hooked. So now every convention there is, I'm there. I don't even care what it is, I'm there. So yeah, my life has changed ever since the Star Wars Celebration, and it's crazy, and I'm super excited.
Hey Skywalkers, this is artist Randy Martinez. My favorite Star Wars memory would have to be how I became an official Star Wars artist. It was 1999 at Star Wars Celebration 1, and for those that remember, it was cold and it was wet and it was miserable. I was there as a fan, but I was also there looking for work, so I had all of my artwork with me. When I had finally had it, I started charging my way out of the showroom just to get out of there, when I ran into this short man with a beard and knocked him straight to the ground. I looked down and saw a gold badge that said, Lucasfilm! So I took all of my artwork and started shoving it in his face and into his lap, saying, look at my artwork! He looked up and said, wait, help me up before you do this. So of course I helped him up, and I gave him my artwork, and he began laughing hysterically, along with all the Lucasfilm people that were with him. But that was a good thing, because I was doing cartooning and caricature at the time, and it was all Star Wars related. So he gave me his card, and it read Stephen J. Sansweet, Lucasfilm. I gave him a call, and 3 weeks later, I was doing artwork for Star Wars Kids magazine. It's a moment in my life I will never forget, and it changed it forever. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Stephen J. Sansweet. Thank you, Star Wars, and thank you all the fans for supporting my career. May the Force be with you.
It was at Celebration 5 in Orlando, last tour to indoor. Me and all my buddies that we had met at Fan Days, we got together again, and we're walking down Hollywood Studios towards Star Tours, and we're singing. We're singing just impromptu. We're singing that John Williams is the Man video from YouTube with all the John Williams songs, you know. It was awesome. So that was so much fun. And you know what? So many more of my favorite fan memories have centered around all of my good buddies that I've met because of that galaxy far, far away.
That last fan moment came from Jedi Schwa from Techno Retro Dads. Now, he recorded with Shazbazaar, but I guess the track was lost in the transfer.
But he still gets credit, right?
Yes, he's part of the 100.
He's part of the 100 plus.
Okay, well, good. Well, we want to thank you, Jedi Schwa, and thank you, everyone, for sending in your favorite fan moments and making this our 100th episode really, really special.
Just wait for the next 100 episodes.
Oh my goodness. Wow, there's going to be like 3 Star Wars movies since that
or
coming out.
4 or
Four?
2, 3?
3. Well, if it's 2 years, every 2 years.
Okay, so
like
then,
3, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right, because The Force Awakens, Rogue One, Episode 8.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Wow.
That puts things into perspective.
It really does. And all the Disney Finding Dory's gonna be out by then.
And yeah, lots of Disney stuff.
Lots of Marvel stuff.
Lots of Disney, Star Wars.
We really
lands.
just count our time. Oh, Star Wars
I
Land,
know.
15, 16, 17. I don't know if Star Wars Land will be open yet, but
Well,
maybe on the cusp.
Speaking of Disney and Star Wars, our next episode, 101, we're going to go to Disneyland for the opening of Season of the Force.
That's November 16th, Monday. We should be there all day. Also, Teresa Delgado and her husband Greg will be there as well. And we are going to do a meetup.
We're going to do a meetup. We're going to record.
Yeah, and I know a bunch of people who are going to be there for the whole day as well. So, hit us up, Twitter or Facebook. Well, I'll try to keep up. I'll bring a big battery for my phone. Because I'm sure I'm going to need it.
Southern California Skywalkers, come on out, and we'll all make Jessica Mucko speak.
Oh. Yes, and if you want to join the official meetup, that's going to be at 5:15 p.m. We're going to meet up in front of the entrance to Hyperspace Mountain so that we can all ride Hyperspace Mountain together and wait in line. So the meetup will be waiting in line, and you're going to get some Skywalking Through Neverland swag, maybe some cute BB-8 buttons. You're going to get some Disney Vault Talk swag and some Fangirls Going Rogue swag. So it's going to be like a big podcast listener, fun, awesome, like-minded people meetup.
So much fun. We were just there. We saw all the new signs.
I know. We took pictures.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you for sharing those, you guys.
Oh, so it's now a reality.
Yeah, and now her universe has taken over Star Trader. Well, Star Trader is no longer all the Disneyland 60th merchandise that was there, gone.
It's about time.
Gone. It's all Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. That store is like completely Star Wars now. It's very exciting.
So men, don't let your women inside. And if you do, tell them you lost your credit card.
Yeah, you know what? I almost want to count to see how many men's t-shirts or men's like clothing versus women's clothing there is, because I think it's pretty much even now. Or at this point, if you counted all the handbags and the jewelry, there might be more stuff for women there.
I think there is.
I think there might be.
No fair.
I know. Well, I want that Ewok long sleeve hoodie, man. That's on my list.
Why are you telling me? Tell Santa.
I did put it on my Santa list.
All right.
Did you see it?
Why would I need to see it? It's for Santa.
Oh, okay.
Why are you confusing me with Santa? This is
I
very
don't know.
confusing.
I don't know. What's on your list in that store?
Everything. Just go in there with a big shovel.
Oh my god. Wouldn't that be awesome if you're given like a gift card of like I don't know how much and just say go?
But you need a shopping cart.
That would be that would be a good present.
A shopping cart?
No, just that idea.
Oh, we just lost her.
No, I'm trying to think of ideas for others. Not me.
Okay.
Not this time.
That's why I was confused. All right, we're going to change topics. How can people get a hold of us?
Okay. Well, we love it when you tweet at us during the show. So if there's a particular fan moment that stood out to you or anything, or you just want to say, hey, awesome 100 episodes, please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. Also, for Periscope, you can follow us at Skywalking Pod as well. And on Facebook, we are Skywalking Through Neverland. And if you want to email us, email share at skywalkingthroughneverland.com. On Instagram, I am Jedi Tink. And I think that's everything.
That is?
You know what? If you want to give us a 100th episode gift, write us an iTunes or a Stitcher review.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 5 stars. It can be whatever star you think that we deserve.
Yes. And then Sarah can read them during our social media mornings.
Yay!
Love that. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
All right, everyone, that wraps up our episode 100. So thank you to all the Skywalkers out there for listening from day one.
And thank you to all the Skywalkers who have joined us along the way.
And remember to keep on listening.
And remember,
Neverland on Alderaan. Some imagination, huh?
to our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Have you left an iTunes review yet? Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Segment producers are Dave Parfit, Dave Scale, and Norma Heitman. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant, Mark Ogushowitz. Technical advisor, Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators, Donald Wicks and Joey Pittman. Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, copyright 2015. All rights reserved.
Sorry, it had to be said.